Hey everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at a pair of AR glasses called the Xreal Air 2 Pro. It was about 2 years ago that I first heard about AR glasses and actually bought my first pair. This was something that, I had just got my Steam Deck shortly before, and I was looking at ways to, play games a little bit differently. I wasn't able to actually buy anything in Canada, so while I was in South Korea, I picked up a pair and I've grown to love the category ever since. I only mention that because the first pair of glasses I actually bought was a pair of Xreal Airs, which, for those that don't know, the Xreal brand has switched to Xreal, so the first pair of glasses I had, although it was called the Xreal Air, was really the first generation Xreal Air. And since then, I've had an opportunity and the privilege to test out a few other devices, and I can definitely say that the product category has moved forward, and I can confirm after testing out the Air 2 Pros for a little bit that it's definitely shown some major improvements over the first generation. If you're new to these type of products, there's several use cases for them. For many of you, kind of like myself, you're probably going to use it mainly with your handheld PC, so I connected to them and I just use it as an external display. That, or maybe even just watching some videos off your phone while relaxing on the couch or lying in bed. The Xreal glasses can connect to any device that's capable of display out over USB Type-C, and that includes handheld PCs, phones, tablets, PC or Mac, or you can even pair them with Xreal's Beam Pro. Depending on the device you're connecting to will determine how the display is actually going to look when it's paired. So the standard default is that it's going to be a mirrored display of your screen, which is typically the way I use them. If you're using a phone, you may end up getting some weird aspect ratios unless the phone can actually detect that it's external display and adjust to 16:9. My phone actually does this where it pops up and it recognizes that I have it connected to some glasses, and I can either do an extended mode that takes full advantage of the screen, or I can just have it mirror where I do get some black bars. And if you have a compatible phone, you may be able to actually take advantage of the Nebula interface. We're going to take a look at that a little bit later. First, we're going to take a look though to see what it actually looks like when you look through it when you're mirroring your display. I managed to capture this footage with my webcam, so it does a pretty good job. It's not perfect. I had to adjust some of the settings to get the exposure just right, but it's going to give you as close of a representation as I can give you. One thing I will say is that the display is quite vibrant. I find the colors are very rich, it's very bright, and it seems to be crisp across the whole image. Like some XR glasses, you get a bit of like blurry edges. I didn't really find that to be the case on these. And the reason the colors are so vibrant is it actually has two micro OLED displays that are shot downward and they reflect off of the glass. Another nice thing that I've always appreciated about XR glasses, and it's no exception on the Air 2 Pro, is that it has built-in speakers into the handles. I found the speakers to work quite well. Like, it's not overly loud to people that are around you unless you're in a super quiet room, but to yourself, like, it's pretty decent. Like, if you'd have to be in a pretty loud area to not be able to hear it. And overall, the sound quality I found to be pretty decent. Another cool feature that they've added to the Air 2 Pros is 3 levels of electrochromic dimming. I'm a big fan of this. I liked it on some other glasses I've tested out, and having 3 levels is pretty nice. The electrochromic film is quite effective. Like, you can see that the flashlight gets mostly blocked when I go on the 3rd level. The 2nd level is decent, and of course when you go transparent, you're going to see everything through it. Features aside, the last couple things to talk about really are how they feel to actually wear, the comfort, and just the look. So I'm a big fan of the Ray-Ban style. I haven't really been shy about that in other reviews that I've done. And that was something that I considered when I bought my first pair was, something that doesn't stand out too much. You don't really look like you're out of place if you're wearing them on an airplane or a bus, train, wherever. They really do just look like a pair of sunglasses, but a little bit thicker. As far as the comfort of wearing them, I found that they're more comfortable than the original Xreal Airs that I had. The tips seem to be flexible, it bends outward a little bit more, and just overall it just seemed to fit a little bit better. I've also found that the nose pads seem to sit just right for my nose. Now, of course, your mileage may vary depending on your face shape, but for me, these ones do seem to fit quite well. There's also 3 sizes that come with it, so just choose the one that fits the best. A quick summary of the specs, starting with the display, you get a 0.55-inch Sony Micro OLED display that's 1080p 120Hz. The field of view is 46 degrees, which is pretty standard when you're looking at these types of AR glasses. The brightness is up to 500 nits, and it's 2D and 3D capable. Some other features is the 3 dimming levels with the electrochromic film. There's a 2nd generation sound system. It weighs only 75 grams. The nose pads are fairly soft with zero pressure nose pads and ultra soft temples. Looking at the glasses as just a standalone product before we move on, I would have to say that these pair of glasses are probably among the best that I've tested. I really like that 3 levels of dimming, and overall it honestly is just a really well-rounded pair of XR glasses. If you want to get more than just the Xreal Air 2 Pros, they also sell some accessories. One of them that we're going to take a look at that they sent out for me to try out is the Xreal Beam Pro. The Beam Pro is a pretty interesting device. On the side, we have a micro SD slot. I thought it was a SIM card, but it's not. We have 2 cameras on the back here for spatial video. At the bottom, we have 2 USB-C ports, one for the glasses and one to charge the device. On the other side, we have our power button, volume, and a mode button. The device itself runs Android. It's very similar to a phone. You know, you can download apps, you can watch YouTube, you can watch Netflix, whatever you'd like to do. Although it does have very specific features that are connected to the Xreal Air. Like here, you can see I've opened up the camera app, and there's actually an option where you could take spatial photos and spatial videos. This is where you can take advantage of that 3D mode that you can set up on the Air 2 Pro. I obviously can't show you this feature, so you're going to have to settle with a trust me bro. Taking a look in the settings, we can see what exactly this is running, which version of Android, as well as what processor. So we're going to take a look at our about here, and you can see that I have the 128GB model with 6 gigs of RAM, and it's running Android version 14. I didn't actually record the process, but when you plug in your Xreal glasses to the Beam Pro, you can update them directly from the Beam Pro. And there's this app here that you just tap. You can see my devices shown there. And from here, you can, set different settings. You can update the firmware and see some general information about the product. Probably the biggest feature is that it works for the Nebula interface. So let's take a look at what that looks like through the glasses. This isn't going to be a perfect demonstration by any measure here, but basically here you can open up different apps. Like here I have the YouTube app open. You can see it's moving around a little bit. This is because I'm moving the glasses around. It's hard to tell because I had to lay the glasses down to be able to do this. There is an interface where you can select different apps, and you actually navigate this by moving around the Beam Pro. And here you can set up different windows and you can kind of switch between them. Kind of like when you switch between apps on your iPhone or your Android. So it's meant to be that you can switch between apps and windows fairly easily and have a few different things running at a time here. A few use cases for this is watching movies. You can also connect to your computer through Steam, and because it's Android, any apps that you use for streaming you can connect to here as well. And then pair up a Bluetooth controller and you should be good to go. You can also take advantage of many of these features if you have a compatible phone. Mine, unfortunately, is not compatible with Nebula, so any kind of experience I've had has been with the Beam Pro. Another feature of the Beam Pro is body anchor. This is where you can actually lock apps in place so that they're like floating screens. On the right, I had my calculator, on the left, the YouTube video. And this is something that can be toggled on or off by just pressing the orange button on the side. Another feature that you can do with the body anchor mode is actually increase the screen size. So it makes it so that you have to look up, down, left, right to actually see the full screen. You might be wondering what the purpose of that is, but one thing that's really nice about it is if you're watching a video, for an example, I'm watching a video that has, a comparison between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. So I could just set the video to 4K and look at the specific details and be able to see it a lot more crisp, even though it's 1080p on my screen, because it's a bigger screen than what I can see. That extra resolution does work out very well. And here's what the Beam Pro looks like when you're using the feature there is you actually have a trackpad and a few options you can select. And you can also just move it around like I had mentioned earlier, kind of like a Wii remote or a Switch remote where it's just using gyroscope. Overall, an interesting product that I still need to explore a little bit further. After taking a look at the Xreal Air 2 Pro as well as the Beam Pro, I have to say that the glasses, I'm a big fan. They're really nice. I do like the 3 levels of dimming. That's something I haven't seen on another pair yet. The glasses are comfortable. They're very bright. The colors are really great. Honestly, it's a solid pair. If you're in the market for a pair of glasses, this is one to definitely consider. And I would give it my full recommendation for those that are in the market. The Beam Pro, it's a little bit different. I would say that for myself personally, I probably wouldn't use it very often. I often just use the glasses like this, mostly as an external monitor with my handhelds, as I mentioned before. And most of the time, it's maybe like I'm on my night shift and I just want to watch some videos while I'm laying down. I'll just plug in my phone, watch some videos. For those that are interested in spatial video or AR, where you kind of have this floating menu, it's definitely cool. If you have a MacBook though, that's where it's probably the most worth it. I found that I tested it on my wife's Mac briefly. I didn't film it though. However, having 3 screens you can swipe between and place them, kind of like almost placing them on the table when I was sitting at the kitchen table upstairs, was super cool. And honestly, that's probably the best use I've seen of Nebula. And I showed a few other people and they really thought it was just the coolest thing they had seen. So the glasses, I can say full recommendation. They're great. Totally recommend them. The beam, I think you just need to evaluate whether the features fit what you're looking for, because there is a market there for some people. For myself, I just don't usually use those features. And that's pretty much it for this review. Thanks once again to Xreal for providing the unit for me to test out. No money exchanged hands, they just provided the product for me to test out for everyone. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I can't always cover everything in a video, but I don't mind testing a few things if you have some questions. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for watching.